welcome to the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. It is the number one podcast in the state of Kansas, giving you all the best in content, really covering a lot of high school coverage. I know I sound like a broken record when I say this, but had it not been for two people get me involved back in watching high school sports, I don't know if I'd be watching high school sports. Not that I had anything against high school sports, it just never was part of my weekend schedule. But I am ever indebted to such people as Joe Jackson and of course Coach Chadwick out there at Derby. Coach Jackson, the boys basketball coach at Mays South High School. Coach Chadwick is the girls basketball coach at Derby High School. And they piqued my interest in high school sports so much so until I'm going to be making various stops at high school football games. And Lord's willing, you'll be able to see the train pull in. Not a literal train, but that's the name of my podcast, the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. The train will be pulling in to a stadium somewhere near you. It may be Cheney, it may be Derby, it may be Andover, it may be Mays South. But the train ride will be pulling in. As a matter of fact, I plan on pulling to a game this Friday night. Also, I want to give a shout out to the staff at VYPE magazine. Ever since I reached out to them, I've been able to get my VYPE magazine. Because every time I go looking for one wherever they're supposed to be at, I never can find one. They even told me where I could pick them up at, and I always end up out of luck. So you know what? I reached out to them. They reached back out to me, and I get mine in the mail. So I want to say a very special shout out to VYPE magazine. I even want to give a special shout out to Blake Chadwick, who is a writer at VYPE. I mean, he got the best of both worlds. His dad's the coach, and his mom, Joanna Chadwick, is also a writer for VYPE magazine. And he does both. He coaches and he writes. So, you know, these are some staff members. Joanna Chadwick, she's been doing this forever and a day. Blake, he's doing it now. I even seen a part-time on-air personality at KFH Radio. I even seen where Jeffrey Lutz, y'all know Jeffrey Lutz, he's the one that be going back and forth with his dad on the Bob and Jeff show. You know, they go at it so hard that some people think it's disrespectful. I say it's made for listening radio content. Leave them alone. But yes, I even seen where Jeff wrote something for VYPE magazine. So I am surrounded by good people. And once again, I can't thank VYPE magazine for getting these magazines out to me in a timely fashion, because we're looking at the start of high school football starting this Friday on September the 6th. So what I want to give you, and this here is courtesy of VYPE magazine. We're going to look at the Wichita area preseason All-VYPE teams. And this is by VYPE magazine. So what we're looking at first is the Wichita large schools. And these are the schools in Wichita and the surrounding areas such as Mays South, Andover. So it pretty much covers the metropolitan area. So on offense, this is for the Wichita large schools. Quarterback, and I had a chance to meet this young man at their carnival. Quarterback Tate McNew, Mays South. Running back Maddox Archibald, Andover Central. I haven't had a chance to meet him, but I did reach out to him on, I'm going to still call it Twitter. And hopefully we'll get him on my podcast soon. Also, running back Aaron Bohannon Jr., Wichita East. And we're going to keep our eyes on that East High program as they look to show that last season was no fluke. They lost a lot, but look like they are just not rebuilding, but look like they're reloading. And hopefully I can get Coach Agpen on my podcast as well. We've been kind of hitting and missing at each other, but I'm going to reach out to him again, and hopefully we can get him on and get his insight on what to expect from the Wichita East Tide Blue Aces. Wide receivers look like this: Bryson Mays, Jace Adler, Andover Central. And if you heard my last podcast when I was doing the preview, somewhat, or a little snippet of a preview, two people's names on this list already: Maddox Archibald and Jace Adler, both from Andover Central, make up part of what is going to be a very potent, high-octane offense. And it's a wonder that their quarterback didn't make first team. But Tate McNew, not a bad choice either. But there are some quarterbacks in the area that are going to be worth looking at. And we'll get to that a little bit later. But let me go ahead and finish off this list. Tight end. I believe he's a Tennessee commit. Deshaun, I believe that's how I pronounce it, or Deshaun Brame out of Derby. Offensive lineman looks like this: Max Robinson, Derby; Caleb Cape, Hutchinson; Jonathan Gold, Mays; Dawson Rod, Andover Central, one of the linemen protecting that high-powered offense; and Jamar Armstrong, Wellington. The defense looks like this: defensive line: Hunter Higgins, Mays South; Peyton Dean, Wichita Northwest; Travis Nicholson, Eisenhower. That would be Goddard Eisenhower; Brody Wire, Wellington. Linebackers look like this: Farrell Adams, Wichita East, and I believe we have a story coming up on him as well too. Quavon Harris, Wichita Northwest. How ironic, you got East and Northwest, a rivalry that was born last year. I believe it had been brewing, but it came full scale last year. Another linebacker, Carter Morgan, Hutchinson. Now defensive backs: Terrell King, Hutchinson; Christian McDonald, Mays South. Defensive back, Mitchell McDaniel, Bueller. Defensive back, Martell Jackson, Derby. Kicker, Franklin Eque, Wichita Northwest. And punter, Terrell King, Hutchinson. Preseason Offensive Player of the Year, Tate McNew, Mays South. Preseason Defensive Player of the Year, Terrell King, Hutchinson. Or Terrell King, Hutchinson. Now for the Wichita small schools, and I give this list with somewhat of an honor because the first name on this list is a young man I had on my podcast, quarterback Josh Burdick out of Cheney. That's going to be one of my stops on the train ride. Running backs: Julian Johnson, Wichita Collegiate; running back Carter Gonzalez, Heston. Wide receivers: Dallas Legree, Sedgwick; wide receiver Cooper Williams, Clearwater; wide receiver tight end Alex Shore, South Sumner. Offensive lineman Tristan Sproul, Wichita Collegiate; Caden Castleman, Garden Plain; AJ Quick, Cheney; Colin Schreiner, Kingman. Offensive line, Connor Herman, Halstead. Now for the defense. The defensive lineman, Cooper Brown, Wichita Collegiate; Colton Roloff, Cheney; Brody Bell, Kingman; and Carson Vineyard, Argonia Attica. Now for the linebackers. Jace Pickler, Douglas; Devin Raw, Garden Plain; Cade Howe, Conway Springs. Your defensive backs: Harrison Simon, Wichita Collegiate; Seth Dugan, Garden Plain; Joey Millspaw, Halstead. Defensive backs, I'm sorry, Landon Hart, Andale. Kicker, Cooper Marks, Andale. Punter, Corey Crumrine, Cedric. He was featured in an article that I did just last week. Preseason Offensive Player of the Year, Josh Burdick, Cheney, hands down. Preseason Defensive Player of the Year, Landon Hart, Andale. So thus far, there you have the preseason area All-VYPE Wichita large and Wichita small school players to be on the lookout for. Now what we're going to do here is look at the VYPE Kansas preseason rankings, league preseason rankings, and league rankings as well too. And before I go to break, I'm going to give you the Wichita large school preseason power 10, Wichita small school preseason power 10, and the Salina area preseason power 10. Then we're going to take a break after that. So it looks like this. For the Wichita large school preseason power 10 rankings, you have Derby coming in number 1, Wichita East. Even though they lost a lot, you're still getting some high rankings and some high praise from the people at VYPE. So be on the lookout for East High. Like I say, they're out to prove that last year was no fluke. And I believe they have the right coaching staff in play, and they have the right kids in that program that's buying into the coaching staff. So East High is going to be a force to be reckoned with. As a matter of fact, their season starts against Heights. So that ought to be an interesting matchup. But once again, number 1, Derby. Number 2, Wichita East. Number 3, Maize South. Number 4, Wichita Northwest. Number 5, Andover Central. Number 6, Hutchinson. Number 7, Wellington. Number 8, Goddard Eisenhower. Number 9, Bueller. And number 10, Maize. So be on the lookout for the battle for Maize, Kansas, between Maize South and Maize High School. Look forward to seeing that game. Matter of fact, that's how I got introduced to the high school sports. I went to the Maize South basketball game. It was their in-town rival against Maize, and it was such an atmosphere until I had to tweet out that this atmosphere is like being surrounded by the Duke Cameron indoor crazies, and they just loved it, and I still hold to that. Now for the Wichita small school preseason power 10 rankings. Number 1, obvious choice, defending 3A champs, Cheney. Number 2, Andale. Number 3, Wichita Collegiate. Number 4, Conway Springs. Number 5, Haven. Number 6, South Sumner. Number 7, Garden Plain. Number 8, Sedgwick. Number 9, Kingman. And number 10, Halstead. And now for the Salina area preseason power 10. Coming in number 1, Clay Center. Number 2, Salina Central. Number 3, McPherson. Number 4, Mountain Ridge. Number 5, Marion. Number 6, southeast of Saline. Number 7, Abilene. Number 8, El Saline. Number 9, Ellsworth. And number 10, Clifton Clyde. And now what we are going to do, we are going to take a break. And when we come back, we're going to look at some more power rankings, as we're going to look at the preseason Ark Valley Chisholm Trail Divisions 1, 2, 3, and 4 rankings. And then we're also going to get into some, if time will permit, well, we would just go whichever way the train goes. Yeah, we're going to look at league predictions. Some more league predictions, because this AVCTL has 1, 2, 3, 4 different divisions. And then we're going to look at the G-Wall, Heart of America, Heart of Plains. We're even going to look at 8-man. So don't you go nowhere. The train is just now building up a head of steam.
Moving too bossy, we don't tread softly, but not flossy, the streets and talk.
Welcome back to the A-Train Sports Talk podcast on a Monday morning.
I'm just trying to get my
Labor Day. And no, this is not work. It's fun.
Man, I swear my time is coming.
If it was work, I wouldn't be doing it.
Broken homes and broken dreams again.
fun.
Dollar bill, listen close, this is not a drill.
So what I'm going to do now is look at the preseason rankings of the AVCTL. And what I'm seeing here, I really don't know which one of these to look at. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually flip the page, because one has the AVCTL, has their 4 divisions, and then when I flip the page, the rankings look a little bit different. So I'm going to flip the page and go with the other list. As we look at AVCTL Division 1, the preseason rankings go like this. Number 1, Mays Derby. Number 2, Mays South. Number 3, Hutchinson. Number 4, Mays. Number 5, Valley Center. Number 6, Campus. Number 7, Salina South. Division 2 looks like this. Andover Central, Salina Central, Eisenhower, Goddard, Andover, Newton, Ark City. As a matter of fact, word of note, if you're going to the Mays South game, their opening game will be against Newton. Division 3 looks like this. McPherson, Bueller, Mulvane, Circle, Winfield, Augusta. And Division 4 looks like this. Andale, Wichita Collegiate, Wellington, Clearwater, Rose Hill, and El Dorado. Now for the Central Kansas League. Number 1, Hoisington. Coming in next, Pratt, Haven, Hillsboro. Number 5, Heston. Number 6, Halstead. Number 7, Smoky Valley. Number 8, Nickerson. Number 9, Larned. For the Central Plains League, you're looking at number 1, of course, the obvious choice, Cheney. Then Conway Springs coming in at number 2, Garden Plain. Number 3, number 4, Medicine Lodge. Number 5, Kingman. Number 6, Chaparral. Number 7, Wichita Trinity. I think I'm going to go out there and check out one of their games as well, too. Number 8, Douglas. Number 9, Belle Plaine. Now for G-Wall. And I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to stop, and then I'm going to pose a question. Number 1, you got Wichita East. Number 2, Wichita Northwest. Number 3, Cape and Mount Carmel. That's where we pump the brakes right there. Not pump the brakes because I think their ranking is too high. Pump the brakes because now they will be playing under the classification of 4A. And I want to send a shout out to Coach Steve Eck, the basketball coach. I know some are saying, okay, what does the basketball coach have to do with the football preseason rankings? And well, there is a tie-in with Cape and Mount Carmel. He's the coach of the boys team at Cape and Mount Carmel. And I told him I wanted to get him on my podcast to get his feelings on Cape and Mount Carmel going down the classification to 4A. And he clarified with me that only football went to 4A. Basketball is still 5A. So that's why I want to give a shout out to Coach Steve Eck because of that clarification. Now we get to find out the competition level between 6A, 5A, 4A. Because coming in at number 4 is 5A school, Bishop Carroll, who's normally a powerhouse. They've had a couple of down years, but you never want to poke the bear. That's a sleeping giant. And they always get their season started off against Wichita Northwest, and this year will be no different. So we will see have they really improved over last year. Win, lose, or draw, it's about the competition on the field. If Northwest boat races Bishop Carroll, you wonder what that does for the psyche of not just the players, but the coaching staff as well, too. So, moving forward, number 5, Wichita Heights. Like I said, they open up against Wichita East this Friday night. Number 6, Wichita South. Number 7, Wichita Southeast. Number 8, Wichita West. And number 9, Wichita North. Now for the Heart of America. And this is saying 12 men only. And there's a distinction there because they also have 8 men only. But right now we're looking at the 12 men. Number 1, Mountain Ridge. Number 2, Sedgwick. Number 3, Marion. Number 4, Sterling. Number 5, Bennington. Number 6, Inman. Number 7, Hutchinson Trinity. And number 8, Remington. Now for the Heart of Plains 8-man only. Number 1, South Barber. Number 2, Argonia Attica. Number 3, Hutchinson Central Christian. Number 4, Pratt Skyline. And if I'm correct, anyone listening, you can correct me. I believe Pratt Skyline once upon a time was they played 11-man. And I need to get some clarification on this 12-man. I thought it was played 11-man. Anyway, never mind that. We're going to move on. Number 8, Pretty Prairie. Number 9, number 6. Number 6, Norwich. Number 7, Fairfield. Now for the NCAA League. You have Southeast of Saline. Coming in number 1. Number 2, Ellsworth. Number 3, Beloit. Number 4, Minneapolis. Number 5, Salina Sacred Heart. Number 6, Republic County. For the NCK League, number 1, Wamego, right outside Manhattan there. Number 2, Clay Center. Number 3, Abilene. Number 4, Concordia. Number 5, Chapman. And number 6, Marysville. And now for the SCBL, 8-man only. West Elk, a perennial power in 8-man. Number 2, Central Burton. Number 3, Oxford. Number 4, Cedarville Dexter. Number 5, Sedan. Number 6, Flint Hills. Number 7, Udall. And Wheat State, 8-man only. Number 1, Little River. Number 2, Rural Vista. Number 3, Canton Galva. Number 4, Gossel. Number 5, Solomon. Number 6, Century. And number 7, a little town me and my wife traveled to over the weekend, Wakefield. So there you have the league predictions of these teams here in the South Central Kansas League, and South Central, for teams from South Central Kansas and for Salina. What we're going to do right here, we're going to look at the 2024 6A teams to watch, because this season, I believe, is shaping up to be a pretty good year. Year in, year out, Derby is the favorite in Class 6A. This year is no different. After a 22-19 loss to Gardner Edgerton in the state championship game a season ago, the Panthers have reloaded once again. The Panthers will be led offensively by University of Tennessee commit Desan Brame. Brame is coming off a season where he had 46 catches for 942 yards and 13 touchdowns. Derby will have some more big playmakers, with sophomore Arias Finley having 11 touchdowns last year as a freshman. The big Derby offensive line will be anchored by junior Max Robinson, who has blown up all over the past few months with offers from Marshall, Minnesota, Kansas, Oklahoma, Utah, Iowa State, Arkansas, Auburn, Missouri, Kansas State, and Texas A&M. The Panther defense will also be led by seniors Easton Splain, Martell Jackson, and Gavin Fonestell. After an 8-3 season a year ago, Wichita East will be another team that can threaten to be a team out of the West in Class 6A. The Blue Aces lost quarterback Deontay Mitchell to graduation. Still, they will be dangerous again as they bring in A.J. Bohannon, a running back from Wichita Northwest, who is one of the most electric in the state and will complement skilled players like Ronell Slaughter and Carlin Ramsey. Note that A.J. Bohannon, a running back from Wichita Northwest, as if things didn't get dicey last year between the two schools, I believe this just adds more fuel to that fire. The Blue Aces defense will be as dangerous as they will be led by middle linebacker Farrell Adams and defensive tackle DJ Nagasa, who are two high-level juniors who have a lot of eyes on them from recruiters around the Midwest. The Blue Aces will be trying to bring a state championship home for the first time since 1983. Man, who can forget those teams back in the 80s, especially that 1983 team. After their first loss to a USD 259 school since 2016 and a 7-3 finish, the Wichita Northwest Grizzlies could be a sleeper team that could make their first state championship since 2020. The Grizzlies will be quarterback by Jalen Mason, who picked up 3 offers this offseason from Iowa State, Kansas, and Liberty. Northwest will also look to utilize junior John Michael Fountain offensively and defensively. Fountain is a standout senior who has offers from Iowa State, Kansas State, Nebraska, Kansas, Arkansas, and Missouri. The Grizzlies will also have a handful of good offensive linemen who are back from injuries the year before and will look to flex their muscles this year. Mays will look to bounce back from a disappointing year after Avery Johnson. The Eagles will be led by Nebraska commit Bryson Hayes at receiver, as he will keep defenses honest all year with his exceptional speed. The defensive and offensive lines will look to complement Hayes as they bring back a lot of experience. After losing 24 seniors in May, Wichita Heights will have a group of guys who are extremely hungry and ready to get an opportunity. Behind a new offensive line, running back senior Lucas Meyer will look to continue to build off his all-league performance a year ago where he rushed for 322 yards and 6 touchdowns. The Falcons will also look to junior Zane Matterson to be their starting quarterback. 6A players to watch and games to watch, and then we're going to take a break after this. Farrell Adams, linebacker, Wichita East. Jamari Bland, linebacker, Wichita Northwest. Aaron Bohannon, Jr., running back, Wichita East. Deshane Brame, tight end, Derby. Elijah Dixon, linebacker, Wichita Southeast. Peyton Drew, defensive line, Wichita Northwest. John Gold, offensive line, Mays. Quavon Harris, linebacker, Wichita Northwest. Bryson Hayes, wide receiver, Mays. Martell Jackson, defensive back, Derby. Drew Kemp, defensive back, Derby. Jalen Mason, quarterback, Wichita Northwest. James Middlebrook, defensive back, Derby. DJ Nagasa, defensive line, Wichita East. Gavin Fonestell, linebacker, Derby. Carlin Ransom, wide receiver, Wichita East. Max Robinson, offensive line, Derby. Ronell Slaughter, Jr., running back, Wichita East. Easton Splain, defensive back, Derby. Lucas White, defensive back, Campus. Games to watch, September 6th, Wichita Northwest at Bishop Carroll. September 13th, the rivalry, Wichita Northwest at Wichita East. September the 20th, Wichita East at Capon. September the 20th, Hutchinson at Mays. September 27th, Hutchinson at Derby. September 27th, Capon at Wichita Northwest. October the 4th, Derby at Hutchinson. October the 11th, Wichita Northwest at Manhattan. October the 11th, Mays at Mays South. I got that one circled. October the 18th, Mays South at Derby. I got this one circled too. And October 25th, Derby at Bishop Carroll. So right there, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and take me another break, as the train is still building up some steam, as we are showing some love to Kansas high school football. So don't you go nowhere. We'll be right back. It is the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. Welcome back to the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. That's right, this is yours truly, Anthony Smith. It is Monday, Labor Day. Like I said earlier, this is not work, this is fun. Because if it was work, I wouldn't be doing it. Why is this fun? Because I get to interact I get to share this podcast on most social media platforms. And that is how this train builds up a head of steam. That is how this train forges new relationships. I could tell you even about the latest relationship that was forged and formed, which I say shout out to Coach Brent Pfeiffer out at Mays South High School. I'm still talking about that carnival. It's been, 2 weeks? Going on 3 weeks. And the way they welcomed me and my grandson out there, I can't say thank you enough. And that is why I like doing what I'm doing. Why I like reaching out to these student athletes and these coaches on these social media platforms, because relationships are formed, and it doesn't get any better. I'm fortunate that I believe that by me doing the podcast and even having people on like Bob Lutz, Jeff Lutz, yes, I'm name dropping, Scott Stiles. These are people that I've come in contact with. Mike Kennedy, Xavier McDaniel. These are guests that have been on here. Brent Pfeiffer, Joe Jackson, Coach Chadwick down there at Derby. The numerous student athletes, and I emphasize student athletes because anyone that knows me, when I get one of the student athletes on my podcast, the main question I ask them before I end the call is, what is your grade point average and what is the value of an education? And they pretty much all nail it. So we're going to get back into 6A players and games to watch. We've already covered the games to watch and some of the players to watch. Some of the teams to watch, take a look at the campus coach. They're in the ABCTL Division I, head coach Cody Peabody in his first season. Looking at their last 5 seasons, 2019 1-8, 2020 1-6, 2021 1-8, 2022 1-8, 2023 2-7. Their 2024 schedule looks like this. Home game starts out September 6th against Junction City. Then they go to Derby on the 13th. Home game against Salina Central. Then they travel to Mays South on the 27th. On October the 4th, they're at Mays again. Then they got back-to-back home games. October 11th against Hutch. October the 18th against Salina South. October the 25th at Valley Center. And November the 1st, that's when sectionals, I do believe, start to be determined. Their key returning players: Camden Schroeder, senior running back, defensive back. Jalen Harper, offensive line, defensive line. Lucas White, senior, athlete. Hagan Watkins, junior, linebacker, tight end. Jackson Denard, senior, linebacker, running back. Coach Peabody says this, and there was no information on what he had provided. Derby Panthers, ABCTL Division I. Head coach Brandon Clark. Last 5 seasons, 2019, 13-0. 2020, 9-2. 2021, 11-1. 2022, 9-3. 2023, 11-2. Their schedule looks like this. September the 6th at Hayes. September the 13th at home against Hayesville campus. September the 20th at Salina South. September the 27th, home game against Mays. October the 4th on the road at Hutchinson. Then back-to-back home games. October 11th, they have Valley Center coming in. October the 18th, in comes Mays South, which should be a good game right there. Then October the 25th, another good game at Bishop Carroll. Key returning players: Dason Brame, senior tight end. Dalen Bledsoe, senior wide receiver. Drew Kemp, senior quarterback. Aiden Heckathorn, senior QB. John Lujan, I believe I pronounced that right, senior wide receiver and running back. Max Robinson, Jr., offensive lineman. Peyton Goebel, Jr., offensive lineman. And Arias Finley, sophomore running back. Coach Clark had this to say. He said, we need to play assignment sound in all 3 phases of the ball. They have had a great offseason so far. The kids are really working hard together as a unit. Every time they enter the weight room or field, they thoroughly enjoy working hard together. Wichita East Blue Aces League GWAL. Head coach Ine Akpan, 7th season. Last 5 seasons, 5-5 in 2019. In 2020, they were 7-2. 2021, 6-4. 2022, 6-4. 2023, 8-3. Their 2024 schedule looks like this. At Wichita Heights. September 13th, home game for them. Wichita Northwest. That game should be Donnybrook. September 20th at Cape and Mount Carmel. We will see the difference between 6A and 4A. September 27th, home game, Wichita West. October the 4th at Highland Park. That game should test them on the road, a true road game. October 11th at Wichita North. October the 18th, home game, Bishop Carroll. And October 25th, home game, Dodge City. The key returning players, Colin Ransom, senior, wide receiver. Ronell Slaughter, wide receiver, senior wide receiver. Austin Fulton, senior wide receiver. Aaron Bohannon, junior running back. Andre Williams, senior defensive end. Farrell Adams, junior linebacker. Amari Bohannon, Jr., defensive back. Coach Akpan says we have a lot of talent and speed, bigger bodies this year compared to the past few years. We just got to put things together and play together. Another team to watch, Mays Eagles, ABCTL. Head coach Gary Guzman, 14th season. And if I may say, he's been coaching. Yeah, he's been at Mays 14 seasons. But the years he's been coaching, my goodness. And I have to say like this. He has to be like the Energizer Bunny because it seems like he just goes on and on and on and on. All I can say is he's having an impact on these young student athletes wherever he's at. So kudos to him for his longevity. The last 5 seasons at Mays look like this. 2019, 10-2. 2020, 9-2. 2021, 11-3. 2022, 12-1. And 2023, post Avery Johnson, 5-6. Their schedule looked like this. They get things kicked off on September the 6th at Goddard. September 13th at Andover. September the 12th, a home game against Hutchinson. 27th, they travel to Derby. October the 4th, home game against Campus. Then on October 11th, they travel to Mays South. October the 18th, they have home game against Valley Center. October 25th, home game against Salina South. Key returning players, Elijah Cross, senior running back. Alan Henner, senior wide receiver. Jonathan Gold, senior offensive lineman. Bryson Hayes, senior wide receiver. Mason Teague, senior kicker. Coach Guzman says we need to experience some early success and build on it every week. We also have to execute, play fast, play smart, and be aggressive in all phases of the game. Wichita Heights League GWAL. By the way, Mays Eagles is in the ABCTL Division 1. Now, Wichita Heights Falcons League GWAL, head coach Dominic Dingle. 7th season. Last 5 seasons. 2019, 3-6. 2020, 5-3. 2021, 5-3-1. 2022, 4-5. 2023, 5-4. Their schedule looks like this. Home game against Wichita East in the game that shit might have implications on the GWAL standings. September the 13th at Topeka. September the 20th, they host Garden City. And then on September 27th, another herd of buffaloes come stampeding in Wichita Heights as locally Wichita Southeast Buffaloes make the trip to Heights. October the 4th at Bishop Carroll. October 11th at Wichita South. October the 18th, home game against Wichita North. And October the 25th at Cape and Mount Carmel. Key returning players, Lucas Meyer, senior running back. Tarek Johnson, senior defensive back. Maverick Stamen, senior defensive lineman and linebacker. Jonathan Vasquez Chavera, junior kicker. Coach Dingo says the 2024 Wichita Heights Falcons are young and inexperienced after graduating 24 seniors, but have a deep and talented group of Falcons that have been waiting for their opportunity. So we wish them the best of luck as well, too. As I said, they get their season started against Wichita East. Wichita North Redskins League GWAL head coach Mitch Kucera, third season. Last 5 seasons for them. 2019, 0-9, 2020, 0-7, 2021, 1-8, 2022, 0-9, 2023, 0-9. Their 2024 schedule looks like this. Home game, which will be played at Wichita Northwest. They host Liberal. Also, September 13th, home game, Cape and Mount Carmel at Wichita Heights. September the 20th, home game, West. That game will be played at Wichita South. Then they travel to Great Bend on September 27th. October the 4th at South. October 11th, home game against East at Wichita Heights. October the 18th at Heights. October 25th at Southeast. Key returning players: Mason Clausen, senior offensive lineman. Mario Jackson, senior offensive lineman. Sam Dole, senior tight end. Jaden Fountain, senior linebacker. Josh Buffone, senior linebacker. Javier Zapata, senior defensive back. And Cesar Ramos, senior linebacker. Coach Kucera says, this is going to be a good year for us. We have several returners on both sides of the ball, and that experience should benefit us. I have a great group of leaders who have developed over the past few years and are grinding. I have seen good growth in the program. Now it's just time to break through. Wichita Northwest Grizzlies, always a threat for a GWAL title. Head coach Steve Martin in his 13th season. Last 5 seasons: 2019, 5-5, 2020, 7-2, 2021, 6-4, 2022, 6-4, 2023, 7-3. Their schedule looks like this. September the 6th, they travel up Tyler Road to West Central, make that left-hand turn, about 2 blocks, pull in at Bishop Carroll on the 6th of September. On September 13th, at Wichita East. September the 20th, home game, Junction City. September 27th, home game against Capon. October the 4th, home game against Wichita West. October 11th at Manhattan. October the 18th, Wichita South. October the 25th at Goddard Eisenhower, and that game will be played at Riverfront Stadium. And if you notice, Wichita Northwest schedule looks a little bit different, as you don't see Heights on the schedule, and you also don't see Wichita North on the schedule. Key returning players: Jalen Mason, junior quarterback. John Michael Fountain, junior linebacker and running back. Quavon Harris, senior linebacker. D'Angelo Williams, junior offensive lineman. Maddox McGinnis, sophomore offensive lineman. Chase Carter, junior wide receiver. Coach Martin says the Grizzlies look strong for the 2024 class with a talented group of juniors that are garnishing a ton of offers and interest from D1 schools. Wichita South Titans League GWAL head coach Russ Wells, 6th season, last 5 seasons: 2019, 3-6, 2020, 2-5, 2021, 2-7, 2022, 3-6, 2023, 2-7. And their schedule looks like this. They will be playing on September 6th. They start with Wichita Northwest. Is that right? Because I just looked at Northwest schedule. Well, they will be playing a home game at Wichita Northwest, but it's not telling me who their opponent is going to be. So we will figure that out. And I see a couple of typos, so we'll figure this out. But we do know that on September the 13th, they will be traveling to Liberal. On September the 20th at Dodge City. September the 27th at home game for them at Bishop Carroll. October the 4th, home game against Wichita North. October 11th, home game against Wichita Heights. So they got 3 back-to-back home games. October the 18th at Wichita Northwest. So we'll figure out who they're playing at Wichita Northwest. And then also it says October 25th at Wichita West. So we got some things to figure out and sift through right there. Unless, no, can't say that either. So we'll figure this out. However, the returning players, they have Parker Hargrove, a senior offensive lineman, Jamarcus Webster, senior linebacker, running back, Antonio Carrion, senior offensive line, defensive lineman, Rayshawn Johnson, Jr., quarterback, defensive back, Jaden Friesen, junior wide receiver, defensive back. Coach Wells says the 2024 Titans are very optimistic about the upcoming season, having several strong performances from several young players in 2023. Junior Rayshawn Johnson will continue to lead us on offense and is a legitimate dual threat with outstanding speed and elusiveness as a runner. We're looking at Wichita Southeast Buffaloes now. Head coach Corby Milson. First season, last 5 seasons, 2019, 3-6, 2020, 1-6, 2021, 0-9, 2022, 1-8, 2023, 1-8. And I'm just going to get right to their schedule starting with September the 13th. Will be at, this can't be possible either, because I'm looking at South Tide's schedule and Wichita Southeast schedule as saying is reading the same. So we're just going to bypass that. We're going to look at their key returning players. Vernon Williams Jr., defensive back. Irving Ortega, senior defensive line and linebacker. Kendrick Harrison, sophomore running back. Will Obar, sophomore QB. Torian Kincaid, senior offensive lineman. Coach Milson says 2024 will be a building year. We have a very small senior class, but a big junior and sophomore class that we will lean heavily on. And then we look at Wichita West, and we will close things out right here. Last 5 seasons, 2019, they were 6-4. 2020, 3-4. 2021 and 2022, they were 2-7. 2023, they improved by 1 game to 3-6. Their schedule looks like this. September the 6th, home game against Topeka. September the 13th at Emporia. September the 20th at North. September the 27th at East. October the 14th at Northwest. That sounds like Murderer's Row schedule, but it pans out. October 11th through October 25th, home games are as follows. Lewisburg comes in. October the 18th, home game against Southeast. October 25th, home game against South. Key returning players, Chance Johnson, senior offensive lineman. Minkali N, senior linebacker. Trell Wilson, senior defensive back. Caleb Mahomes, senior linebacker. James Moore, senior defensive end. Wayman Kidd, senior linebacker. Romello Thomas, senior defensive tackle. Coach Moss says, we are excited about the opportunity we have in front of us this season. We're looking forward to the season. Our kids worked hard this spring and summer to chase the best version of themselves. And on that note, I am going to bring this train into the station. Hope you have enjoyed this version of the state's #1 podcast, the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. Bring you some good high school football content and preview. And there will be more to come as this week pans out, as we will be looking at player spotlights, players that you really want to look out for, and so much more as we get you ready for the flight to kick off preview show all this week on the A-Train Sports Talk Podcast. Until then, until the next time, take care of yourself and each other. This is yours truly, your favorite host and your only conductor, Anthony Smith, once again on the State's #1 podcast, the A-Train Sports Talk podcast. See you later. I'm out.